Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we got Dalton on, we got Dre on from the MMG crew, and Phillip Fetters is our guest.
What's going on, guys? It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
So we actually went to high school together.
Yeah.
How many?
Long time ago.
Yeah, long years ago.
Dude, a decade ago.
I know.
Over a decade.
You might be over a decade.
Now it sounds
over a
bad.
decade. 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So how many years older? You graduated in
2010.
2010.
Mm-hmm.
So I graduated in 2012. So 2 years older. Another Carney boy on, and now you've went out and taken on the adventure. You're in commercial real estate.
Commercial, back into residential as far as the single family investments go. Out of high school, went to college, did that thing, got married, had 3 kids, got divorced, jumped into real estate, never looked back. 7 years in.
Hey, guess what? I think the podcast is over. About 30 seconds. We summed it all up. You've done it all. So,
Yeah, I mean, for 31, I definitely have been through some shit. That's for sure.
Yeah, covered all the bases. I feel like you ran the whole baseball diamond home run back.
Yeah. Hey, I will say, though, when my kids are out of high school, I'm going to be 40, 45.
That's
I'll
nice.
have the rest of the life to live.
That is kind of cool.
We can't say the same.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to say
I know. That's exactly why I'm saying it right now.
that. I think it is pretty cool.
You guys.
It's pretty cool. I see you and your kids on Facebook and stuff like that, and you with your daughters. And
Yeah, they're a blast, man. They're the biggest blessing ever, being a girl dad. Never imagined to have 3 girls, don't get me wrong, but I always wanted a girl. I just didn't think I'd have 3.
yeah, that's called a fleet.
It is, for sure.
Got a whole group.
I got a whole group, man. We're a squad.
Yeah,
That's a lot of fun.
roll deep. So, what did it look like? What did your transition into real estate look like?
Honestly, I always wanted to do real estate. I always had an interest for it, even back when I was in high school. But, I was led down a path of, I think the majority of people are led down. It's you go to college, you get a job, it's blue collar all the way. You just work, save your money, and that was it. Through college, I just wasn't happy. I wasn't there. I had no interest. I always knew I was meant for something more, something I wanted to do on my own, something I wanted to create. And I've got ADHD, so I'm all over the place. It's one shiny diamond after the next, so with real estate, that's an industry where you can do multiple things and succeed. So I wasn't limited by one thing, so getting into it, it just felt right. So 7 years ago, I just finally jumped in after college, and I just haven't looked back since.
So, the real estate's been your only job outside of college?
No, I mean, I've had multiple jobs. I could sit here and I've sold cars. I was in the union for 3 months, decided that was not for me.
Represent car salesman.
Yeah.
Whole table full.
I can't say that I enjoyed it, but you lasted a lot longer than I did.
Did you learn a lot, though?
No, I didn't learn a damn thing.
Really?
I was at the wrong place, man. I was at O'Neill Honda in Overland Park. So,
Selling Hondas can be difficult.
Honda and Toyota, they're meant for the longevity, but
Yes.
it was difficult. And I was young. I was 24, 25. I was in the union too at that point as well. I worked at a pharmacy before. I was job hopping to figure out where and what I wanted to do. Even though real estate has always been a passion of mine, and I've always been interested in it. It was the full jumping the ship, going 100% commission. Like, you're on your own. There is no paycheck every week, every 2 weeks. It's either you make it or you sink. So I was working at a orthopedic surgeon's office, actually. That was my last job before I got into real estate. So right out of college, I sold cars. Then I went to work for the pharmacy, and then I went in the union, and then I worked at an orthopedic surgeon's office in North Union City Hospital. That was actually good. I liked working with the doctors. Working for surgeons is a completely different animal. me tell you, they're a different breed. But it was a lot of fun to develop.
Honda drivers.
Yeah.
He'd already been dealing with them.
So that was a lot of fun. Developed a lot of good relationships there. But at that point, I started getting into real estate. I got licensed. I was in it for 6 months and I was doing both. Well, I was at my full-time job, but then I was also trying to do real estate at the same time. And there just comes a cross point where if you're going to do it full-time and make it, you got to jump ship.
What type of real estate were you doing at that point?
Residential. So I did traditional residential real estate at that point. I was helping your typical buyer and seller. It wasn't until 3 years after I started doing that when I jumped into the investment side. I started working with single family investments first, fix and flip investors, buy and hold investors. And then I got into the commercial side. That's where I really liked it. The small and mid-sized multifamily. The large multifamily, that's a different animal.
So is a large multifamily very similar to like a hotel?
It'd be apartment complex.
Apartment complexes, okay. Yeah. Hotels are a completely different sector.
Okay.
But the large multifamily, again, that's its own world. You've got
what size do you hit when it is classified as like large?
I would say anything over 100 units is classified as large.
I was going to say 20, but
I was going to say like 8.
No, that's small multifamily. Mid-size, you're looking 20 to 70 to 80 units. Anything over 100, I consider large multifamily. And that's where your private equity buyers are, your big funds. You're going through different layers of attorneys to work with these clients. It's a completely different world than the small to mid-size multifamily, and then even traditional real estate that most people know, and in today's society.
So before we get too far down the line of where you're currently at, when you started off, you were in residential, correct? And you were doing it part-time.
I was doing it part-time for the first, I'd say about 6 months.
So that is something like I feel really strongly about that I really hate about real estate.
What do you mean you feel really strongly about?
Like I hate the fact that there's real estate agents out there to do it part-time. Like
it's too easy.
I feel like it's a disservice to the people you are helping.
100%.
And I will say that till I'm blue in the teeth against anyone is blue in the face, whatever, Dre. Okay, Dre doesn't. I fuck up one. I fuck up one analogy and Dre's gonna be over there. Oh my God.
Google it.
But I hate when people are paying for a service. People are out there to get taken care of in some aspect. And then real estate is this like weird space. Everyone knows a real estate agent.
Everybody, because it's too easy to get in. Going back to your point, but go ahead and finish.
Too many people. There's like 13,000 something right now.
12, 13,000. Yeah, that number's probably dropped a little bit since the market corrected. I would say, like
as the market slows, it's funny how fast they like eliminate.
They drop like flies.
But I don't know how many clients. Madison is my significant other. She also sells real estate. How many clients she's had that have worked with someone that did it part-time and they've been searching for a house for like a year. And then after they start with like a full-time real agent that knows what they're doing, they're under contract within 15 to 20 days.
Yeah.
And it's because they're dealing with a professional. And I am like, my biggest like pet peeve in life is when people are out for a service and they don't get what they're paying for.
Right.
And I feel like the threshold to get into real estate is so low.
It's too low.
It is. It really is. I feel like they need to make it 10 times harder.
It's too low. And I'll go down a different rabbit hole later, but same with the wholesaling. I'm sure you've heard of wholesaling before. It's the same thing. But I would 100% agree. I think real estate, getting your license definitely needs to be more qualifications behind it. The testing is easy. Pass my test the first time. I mean, you take an exam, you do a little 24, 48-hour class, you take an exam, you're licensed. Now all of a sudden you can go help people make the biggest transaction of most of their lives.
I have never heard of somebody failing a real estate exam.
70% of people fail the first time.
What?
Look it up.
I've heard it was kind of difficult from what I've heard.
State in Missouri, 70% of real estate agents fail the exam the first time.
Well, actually, knowing a lot of real estate agents that shouldn't be doing it probably makes sense why they failed the first time. Because they have no business selling shit.
Can you take it as many times as you want?
You can take it as many times as you want.
Is there a waiting period? Because I know Dane and we both picked up our license to do home loans, and
that was pretty difficult.
That one, they say they compare it to the bar in Missouri. More people pass the bar than pass the LO license in Missouri.
I would say most of the people taking the bar,
they've probably
they tend to study a little bit more.
years of schooling for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But I feel like there needs to be a threshold or something that makes it more to put more qualified people in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that's a huge transaction.
It is. And most of the people that they're helping, that's the biggest transaction of their life.
Yeah.
Unless you cross over into the investments, and then you're getting into people that are just rolling this monthly, some weekly, depending on how much they buy. But yeah, I mean, most real estate agents get into the business to do traditional residential real estate. There's not very many commercial agents at all. I mean, you'll see the commercial offices as you drive back downtown and whatnot. But if you look at the total number of agents in Kansas City, 12 to 13,000, and you look at how many are doing residential compared to commercial, it's significantly higher.
Dude, I feel like the commercial space I feel like if somebody had a little bit of drive, they could go take that space overnight.
It's tough.
So like I look at it though, so I was looking for office space for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
99% of those places go on the market, don't have photos of anything.
Mm-mm.
I've never seen a video of commercial space. I've never seen a Matterport. I've never seen anything that's actually like to maybe get somebody enticed to come look at a place done in the commercial space. I don't know why.
I'm going to be honest. It's because a lot of the times the agents are footing the bill. So even you'll see that in traditional real estate, traditional residential. How many homes do you see on the market with pictures with their cell phone?
But the thing is, like, that's where I think the commercial space is so wide open. And like, I look at business and everything of like where voids are.
Mm-hmm.
And when Madison got into real estate, I told her, I'm like, this is the way it needs to be done. I go, how many people are doing everything for every single listing they have? And it's amazing when she gets a $300,000 listing and she has video going up of it. She has the highest level of photos on every single house that she lists. She has Matterports on everything. She markets it. She does everything. And they're like, that house sells regardless.
You're right.
But it's, once again, somebody who's paying for your service. She's fronting the bill on all of it every single time. But that's the cost of doing business and being really good at what you do.
Most agents don't want to do that.
And
they don't want to put $500,000-$700,000 out of pocket to get these pictures, videos, drone, Matterport, all the different things that you can do.
Yeah.
They don't want to foot the bill because then what if the property doesn't sell? Then they're out that money. A lot of them don't have their clients pay for it, which, you know, to be honest, I don't think it's a bad idea to have a marketing clause in your contract with your seller.
My deal though is like, if you know that you're good and you know that you can market things and you know what you're doing, like that's what separates great agents from not so great agents.
It does for sure, but the price has to be right. And ultimately it comes down to the conversations that you have with your client. A lot of these agents will take on clients and they'll overprice these properties just to say they have a listing or just to say they have
100% agree with that.
They have a deal. So at that point, you're already failing listing the property because it's not going to sell. You're way overpriced.
So,
I mean, shit, we just talked about one in Wrist Lake at 6.9. Wrist Lake for 6.9. Are you
no house has
me?
ever touched that.
Gonna go look at it tomorrow.
You can't even get that in Lake Lotawana. And Lake Lotawana is arguably one of the best lakes here in this market.
So it's like, but you look at those things and you look at those agents that will take those things on won't do a single thing when they know their properties are so far over ask. But I think that is just showing weak agents that if you are good at what you do and you sit down and you put the numbers in front of someone,
right,
and you sell them on why their house is worth that, why the market deems what it is worth, because at the end of the day, everything we all have is just material items.
right.
But those are hard conversations. I feel like a lot of agents don't want to have a hard.
They just avoid it.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, I'll list it for $350. I know it's $300, but yeah, we'll go $350. But it's like, hey, maybe you list it at $290, get a bidding war. Maybe you'll get like $320.
Right.
But it's sitting there, it's having that conversation, going, hey, I know this is what you want. It's not deemed that.
It's not, and it makes it. I mean, as an agent, as a seller, they're interviewing multiple agents oftentimes. If they don't have a relationship with someone, they're going to talk to 2 or 3 agents. One of those agents is going to blow smoke up their ass and say that they can sell their house for X, what they want it to sell for. That seller is more than likely going to sign with them. Versus you have somebody like me that comes in and says, hey, here's the work that your home needs. Because I'm going to do a full evaluation of your house. What does it need? What do the comps look like? What does the property need to get it to the point where we can sell it for, let's just say, for example, if the ARV is 380 and I walk into the house and I say, okay, this home is really worth probably about 350 right now.
So what's ARV?
After rehab value,
okay.
After repair value. So if I'm looking at comps and I'm saying, okay, here's what we could get if we were to update the bathroom or update your kitchen or put fresh paint on the walls or update the flooring. Here's what I think we could get. Most agents don't even know what they're looking at when they go look at a house. So they're not properly equipped to even consult with the seller on what they could sell their house for, what updates they could do to get X dollars. Because shit, you could update your kitchen for 10 grand and that may yield 30 grand in profit on the back end when you go and sell. That's totally worth it. But they're doing the disservice, just like you said, because the qualifications to get in are so minimal. All you need is a high school diploma and to not be a felon.
Do you have to have like a certain credit score or anything like that?
You don't have to have shit, dude. High school diploma and not a felon.
Once again, everything I do in life, I look at how a service that we do is different in the marketplace. What do we offer that's more than the next person? Mm-hmm. If you were to line 10 marketing agencies up, what do we do that's different? Mm. And I have a whole list of those things when people are talking to other agencies or whatever, they're trying to find a marketing company. We do not fail when that happens.
Right.
And I feel real estate agents, there's so many of them out there, they come in and they all race to the bottom. Racing to the bottom is the worst thing you can do in any sort of business. And when you race to the bottom on pricing, you don't know how to sell and build value in what you do. Mm-hmm. And when you hit a threshold of dealing with high-level people, they are going after someone that brings the most value to the table in what they do and on a professional level.
For sure.
And I think that's where a lot of these agents that just blow smoke, if they do talk to an agent that's really, really good, that knows everything that they are supposed to be doing, mm-hmm. that knows how to market their property correctly, figures out what their actual needs are on timing of getting out of that property, what they're looking at their next property,
right?
Actually take interest in their life. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to look at it as one transaction of a home. There's a lot more that goes into that.
100%.
And it's like when you look at it as the full picture, it changes. And when they find that person that does all those things, I feel like it's not a sale anymore.
They're client for life.
Exactly.
They're client for life. On average, a seller, talking traditional real estate, lives in their home for about 7 years and then they sell. Most agents, they look at 7 years as, oh shit, that's a long time away. I'm just going to focus on this one transaction, this one commission. They don't build the relationship. Mm-hmm. The relationship is where the follow-up money comes.
You learned that in the car business.
No, not at all. Honestly, I didn't learn shit in the car business. I didn't learn anything in the car business. But I will attribute that to the dealership that I was at. I'm not going to lie. But
if you can sell Hondas, I think you can sell just about anything.
Yeah.
No, Hondas are easy sales. You just go through 5 people that want to buy one. And then when the person that comes in wants to buy one, they just buy one.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
If you can sell back end on a Honda, they can sell anything.
No, but I think everyone should have to sell cars. Go experience it.
I think everyone in general should experience sales. Like relationships aren't valued anymore in today's society. Mm-mm. I mean, do we surround ourselves with people that develop relationships and build relationships? That's what our businesses are built off of. But I feel like just society in general, relationships, at least in today's age, they're obsolete. Like nobody cares about building relationships and that longevity when really that's where the wealth is built.
And I don't feel like people understand when you are in business. I play chess a lot. I feel like business is a huge game of chess.
I don't play chess, bro.
You need to. It is very much a forward-thinking game that you're making moves that are not beneficial at the time, mm-hmm. but they're beneficial in the long run.
For sure. I could definitely see that.
So a lot of times in business, and especially somebody that doesn't have an entrepreneurial mind, doesn't understand moves that someone is making at that particular time. Mm-hmm. But those moves always come back somewhere in the rear that is that then has the benefit somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of times when you talk about like relationships and where like that they're not valued in today's time, if you can figure out how to capture that relationship and then how do you maintain that?
Yep.
Follow up in sales is everything. And that is what I will say the car business taught me.
Sales starts after you sell the car.
That is when the sale really starts. Most people think about selling the car
and then done.
and then it's on to the next
Hey,
deal.
we've had people that would sit there and sell 20, 25 cars a month. They would never have a return customer. Never.
Yeah.
You'd have someone that sold 9 cars and they would have 9 people show up the next month just on referral. And they're just like, yeah, I'm good.
But it's like, if you do a great job with that person and you build that network, they will send more people your way. I look at with what we do. We have all these clients out there that we get referrals all the time. Dre just set multiple meetings at the first of next week from current clients.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we have somebody who wants to work with you guys. Now all of a sudden we have 100 clients out there. We have 100 salespeople out there hyping us up all the time. When we have 500 clients, think about having 500 salespeople out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to where the multipliers end up so quick. And same thing in real estate. I watch it with most people don't understand real estate. 5% of agents sell 95% of real estate.
Yeah. 100%.
There's a very small group that really owns the whole entire market, but they get referrals out the wazoo.
Yeah. And they don't have to go work for that business. Like
No.
these agents that are putting up big numbers that don't have their relationships behind them, they're on a grind 24/7, year after year. Really haven't built anything because the transaction has already ended. The relationship is gone. You have to constantly fetch new business. I mean, who the hell wants to do that?
I will say a lot of people misconstrue that once you learn what you can do in a day on persistently headhunting to get new business, you then have to realize that you have to take a portion out of your day to keep that relationship. And then it's like, hey, I know you're working a 9-hour day on getting sales to get where you want to be. And then after you get it to where you want to be, it's like, all right, do you want to keep doing the 9-hour, keep hustling? And then you take another 3 to maintain what you have. So it's like,
It's a lot easier to maintain a relationship than it is to sell someone on a new. Yeah.
100%.
For sure, 100%.
But it's like your day will get longer and you just have to know that. And a lot of people are like, well, when do I get it back off? I'm like, if you're on the uphill train, you ain't backing off.
Yeah. And most people think building relationships is hard. And to be honest, you don't have to bug them every day. You're not hitting them up every day, asking them to lunch, asking them to dinner. Yeah, those things will naturally come about as you guys become closer. But dude, I mean, setting up an email campaign, just having a CRM, which I've been bad about, I will completely admit that, but having a CRM or a database of all your contacts and just regularly touching them, not physically, but you get exactly what I'm saying.
But it's also like when you talk about a relationship, I personally look at it as it's really, really easy when you actually truly care about the other person's outcome.
100%.
If you do that one thing,
you remove your interest.
Yeah. Like
and all you do is focus on them.
If all you do is focus on them, on their best interest, and that is if you are working with a business, if you are working with an individual, whatever you are doing, focus on what is best for them. Because most people that drive from a seat of what is best on their personal level are the ones that screw people over. So if I'm a real estate agent and I'm not very good and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make my house payment this month and I got a truck payment coming up. I know I got Dalton over here that's looking for a house and we go look at this house and Dalton's like, I don't know. And I start hard selling on like, this is the house. I just shove this house down Dalton's throat. I make him overpay for it. He buys this house. I got my house payment covered. I got my truck payment covered. I just fucked Dalton. But now Dalton's screwed in this house. 2 years from now, Dalton wants to sell his house. And now all of a sudden it comes back around. I'm like, oh, dude, you're buried.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Because I did, once again, there's the chess move.
Yep.
You took the wrong move early and it set you up for the wrong move down the road. But if you would have done Dalton right at that position and found the right house for him, put in a little bit extra work, done what really needed to be done, widen the surge, whatever it is, showed 10 times the houses, got him in the right house. He hits you up in 2 years, says, hey, I want to sell this house. Hey, you have $50,000 positive equity in it. Let's get it sold. Where you want to move. Now you just position yourself differently.
Right.
And then, of course, you have all the agents that have every excuse in the book. Everyone's just paying too much for everything and the whole market's fucked up, blah, blah, blah. And it almost like makes me sick when I hear so many agents just make so many excuses when it's like, I know a lot of really, really, really good agents. And you know what you don't hear out of their mouth? Excuse every single time that the market's jacked up.
the market's not jacked up. That's the hilarious. Even 6 months ago when people are like, oh, the market this, the market that. Now, did we have a little slow period for 3 months, 4 months?
Yeah.
It's like when COVID started. Dude, everything stopped. 3 months later, it's like
nothing
pour
happened.
gas on the fire, and then everything just skyrocketed. It's
exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And mark my words, I guarantee the market that we're in now and that we're going into now, there's very low inventory. Demand is still there, even though interest rates are in the 6 and 7%. Our market that we're heading into is going to be more competitive than last year.
But I think this is where true salespeople and customer service will succeed.
Again, relationships. Agents, they know. If you're a prominent agent in today's market, you know who those other prominent agents are. You have relationships with those other agents. You've transacted with those other agents. So if you've got a house on the market and they've got 5 offers, and this agent has, the listing agent has 5 offers, and you're one of those offers, and he doesn't even know the other 4, but he has a really good relationship with you, and he's transacted with you before, and your offer is in line with the others, guess who's getting the deal?
It doesn't even matter if it's the highest one.
Exactly. It could be $5,000. It could be $10,000 less.
I've seen so many deals go through where it was Madison didn't have the highest offer, but it's somebody that you transaction with before, and they're like, we just know you as an agent. We know the deal's smooth, and it's the same deal. Like, I know after somebody works with you,
right,
they're going to be like, hey, he's a great dude. Like, I'd sit and have whiskey with him. Like, and that's it. Like, we had Chip Glennon on a couple weeks ago. Same kind of deal. It's when you have those relationships, the deals that he puts together all the time, the deals that Madison puts together, the deals that you put together. Like I said, I know a large group of agents that all do well.
For sure.
But they run and operate different.
Yeah.
There's relationship with clients, and there's also relationships agent to agent.
Oh, 100%. And I would relationships from agent to agent. If you're in the residential world or even the commercial world, agent to agent relationships are sometimes more valuable than relationships with clients, because those agents that you have good relationships with, and they're prominent in their market, they have the listings, they have the inventory, they know all the pocket listings or off market deals. You get access to all of that. And oftentimes you get access before anyone else sees it. So again, I would definitely agree with that 100%.
I think once again, playing those moves correctly early.
Well, we're going to have to play chess together then.
I know.
He's a rat. He'll put you in a stalemate so you can't win, and then he's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Dre's came close to beat me one time ever, and I stalemated him. He's like, I won. I was like, actually, I can't move, and you can't take my king. I go, that's a stalemate. No one wins. If he's like, yeah, you got all fired up.
If I play chess, I leave the room because I just don't even want to see it.
You don't play chess either?
Not really. No. But it's just
it's a very strategic game, and it is. That's how I run and operate life. Like, I do not owe anyone anything. And I play very much as like always making it to where things are owed my way. And that just goes on. Like, I have friends. I'm always doing things for other people, doing things right. And it's not like I have a tally board or anything.
Right.
It's just one of those things that I just know I'm always doing the right thing by others, that those things are just going to come back to me at some point in the future.
Comes back naturally.
And it's playing ahead in your game. And in business, I've put money aside, and I've taken a lot of moves that most people would probably think were not the right move at the time. But I was thinking 10 plays ahead. And I was thinking that I think this will pay off in the long run.
Sometimes you sacrifice a pawn, and then you're like, maybe I shouldn't have sacrificed a pawn.
Yeah. So sometimes I definitely I've done it where it has not paid off. So I'm not going to say I was right every time.
That's the nature of the business, though. That's being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
We take risks. There's a lot of people that are afraid to take risks, and that's why they stay in their lane. That's why they stay where they're at. That's why the majority of America is middle class. It's just the way it is. And there's nothing wrong with that, but most people avoid risk. Entrepreneurs, we don't avoid risk. Sometimes I'm too fucking risky.
That's why I got Dre here. If Dre wasn't there, I have ideas, and he's like,
Great idea.
But we need
money wise, not gonna pan out.
Yeah, it's good to have those people that check, that keep you in line. But taking risks is a big part of it. A big part of our journey, 100%.
Yeah, I just think that is I don't know. I love the risk side. I love uncomfortable.
The thrill of it.
It is. You feel alive.
It's like a high.
Dude, you're not promised tomorrow. Like,
No.
Go do what you want to fucking do. You know what I mean?
And it's just enjoying it. Enjoying like
fueling Dane's ego right now.
no, it's just
This is shit he always talks about.
I'm just very much that person that it's I don't know. I think anything is possible for any person out there. I just don't think most people ever put that in their mind that they're capable of it. And I'm not saying I was always that person.
Bro, I'm still not that person sometimes. Like we all have limiting beliefs. It's just human nature. But
I agree. You think that you have limiting beliefs until you start looking at those failures that you have as just learning points.
For sure, 100%.
And you start getting better at taking them.
Right.
So in the beginning, I thought like if we lost an account, it was like the biggest, I would lose sleep on it. And like I would be frustrated for a week. It would just,
I think all of us were just like, what did we do wrong?
So,
and sometimes you just talk to individuals and it's like, you could bring them more business than they've ever seen in their life. You will never make that individual happy. And it's just finding the fact where it's like, sometimes you can do everything in your willpower. You can't satisfy someone. And that's where I think it goes into the customer's always right. I will say customer service, huge thing. Always take care of people. But the customer is not always right.
It's not.
no.
I don't think so.
Whether it's in, I don't know, like fast food, all the way up until you doing commercial real estate. It's like, hey, this is what I want. It's like, yeah, I would want that to also because that helps me. But realistically, this is where you need to be at. So it's literally laying things out and being realistic.
Yep.
And I feel like less people are being realistic with people.
Honestly, I feel like it's because they're not confident in their own ability.
100%.
If you're not educated in what you do and you're not confident in yourself, that makes it to where you kind of chain yourself to the wall. You kind of chain yourself to your ankles together. You chain everything together. And it's like, you're not opening up doing what you're supposed to do.
No, not at all.
And you have somebody has owned one house in their life. They don't know what a single comp looks like. And you have some agent that supposedly this is what they do as a profession. And they show up and they're like, my house worth $350. And they're like, I want the listing, so I'll list it for $350.
The house down the street sold for $350.
No, but it's
they
like
have 1,000 more square feet than you.
But then you start looking at everything and it's like the comps don't hold that this house is worth $350. Like, and that's the first thing a good agent will be like, yeah, your house isn't worth that. Like, this is what your house is worth. And like based on XYZ and being confident in having that conversation when you're really good at what you do makes it easy.
It's hilarious. I have a listing right now on the market in Gladstone. It's a fixer-upper. It's a DIY owner-occupant. We price it specifically for that. Okay, so I've already walked the property. I've looked at the comps. I had this agent come through, and this is on the opposite end of the spectrum. I had this agent walk through with this client, and they fill out a little feedback form if they fill it out, which 9 times out of 10, I'm not good at filling them out when I go preview property as well. So anyway, this guy filled it out, and on the feedback form, we're listed at 175. Okay, in Gladstone, it's a 3-2 converted garage to the 3rd bedroom, and
houses go under 200 still.
Yeah, so it needs work. It needs about 45K in work if I were to hire it out and do it all, hire and have somebody do it. The 3rd bedroom is a converted garage, which is very common in that neighborhood. So it's not like, oh, they converted the garage, that hurts the value. No, most of those houses have converted garages into a bedroom or a living space. Anyway, it's a 3-2. The master is actually 2 bedrooms. We ripped the carpet out and saw that there was a wall previously there, but the previous owner was 100% disabled. So they got rid of that wall and made one big master for him. Anyway, long story. True value add, it could be a 4-2. I had this agent fill out the feedback form and literally say on the feedback form, LOL, the house is overpriced by at least $50K. And it took everything I had to call that agent and just explain to him where the number is coming from, because clearly he had no idea what the fuck he was doing. And that's the shit that just drives me nuts. Like, you have agents on this end of the spectrum where they'll take a listing 50 grand higher just to have the listing. But then you have agents that are out here helping buyers find a home They're walking into a home that is clearly a true value add and does make sense financially for an owner occupant to live there at least 5 years, do some of the work themselves, build some sweat equity, but then tell me it's overpriced by $50K when they could have bought their client a good property in a good location and could have made their client money 5-7 years down the road. Agents just don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm going from one end to the other, but just to give you an idea, like it's not just the overpriced listings. It's the agents also showing the houses that don't know the value, that don't see the value, or don't know how to increase the value by doing the value add things to the property.
And that's just them not doing their homework either.
Dude, it's so frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. I could go down a whole different rabbit hole with that. It's incredibly frustrating.
It's kind of funny when I go out, because I go show with Madison a lot of times on the weekends. It's like our time to hang out.
Right.
And most people think we're on the weekends doing whatever we want. Most of the time we're out showing houses. And so we'll be out showing houses. Or in Mexico.
One or the other.
One of the two. But showing houses way more when we're in Mexico. So we go into these houses and you see these agents come in and you hear them like talking to their clients. And I'm just like, I sit there and I've never claimed that I'm the smartest guy in the room or anything like that. And sometimes I just listen to these people talk and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, these people met with this person and thought they were a good fit to help them buy a home.
Yeah. $200,000, $300,000 investment.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, most people I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people put their savings down on their down payment.
I see it showing $700,000+ houses.
Yeah.
The agents are walking with people that you're just like, yeah, you're not qualified to be doing this.
Bite your tongue. You're not the agent.
I kind of told Madison, I was like, if you want, I'll just walk around. I'll pick you up all the other people here.
You didn't sign anything, correct?
That's hilarious.
So, what were you saying, Dalton?
I was just ignorant to the fact, I guess, that there were so many unqualified real estate agents, because I don't really, I'm not in that industry, and
I wouldn't probably know about it.
So
literally just get your license and be a fly on the wall and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just go walk through an open house on the weekend.
I'll have to come with you guys sometime.
Yeah.
Go to the open houses, just be a fly on the wall.
You're going to come and you're going to be fucking.
That's wild to me.
You're going to be baffled, bro.
I can't imagine.
Oh, it's disturbing.
It is.
It's 100% disturbing. 13,000 agents, 5 to 10% of them are actually good.
I'd say 10% is a very heavy number.
Pretty conservative.
I would say 5 is probably actually starting to get a little on the heavy side. Because like it's becoming a rarity. Well, because you think you go to a house that hits the market that's around that 200 right out the gate, you have people just flowing through there. Mm-hmm. They're stacking listings, they're stacking showings one after another. And it's pretty common if you have somebody in that price point, they're going to look at 5 to 10 houses on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Right.
And Madison will have those people and it's like, I'm driving. She's like setting everything up. She has all the comps for every neighborhood that we're going to. Mm-hmm. And she's like, these are the 5 that sold in this area in the last X amount of time. This is what they're going for. This is square footage, everything. And it's like, we walk in there and all these other agents are showing up. They're like, how many and they're asking the clients, they're like, how many bedrooms do you say this one was? I'm like,
you know why? Because they're waiting for their client to send them the house they want to go look at. Versus like Madison, she's probably being proactive.
Yes.
Looking at these properties saying, hey, we're going to go look at these. I've already got comps pulled, etc. She's doing her job. Most agents don't do that.
If you have listened to this podcast, you're right here, and you can get one thing out of this, be proactive, not reactive in life.
Exactly.
If you do that one thing, I'll tell you what, it'll change your life. But you're exactly right. They go in and these clients send agents houses. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I almost want to start like just a showing service.
Yeah.
That has a bunch of trash ass agents that they can get paid per showing. And then people come in and it's like, you take a percent or two and then you just have like, hey, you know what? You're already pretty much doing it on your own. Like, I'm just going to have a service with a bunch of trashy agents and just open up the door for you.
Right.
And then if you want to buy it, then you can contact me. Because I feel like half the time, that's what these people are doing. They're doing the whole thing by themselves.
Yeah, 100%. They're
like, yeah, I really like this place. I think I want to make an offer. Oh, what do you think about offering? And then I'm going to offer them $250. All right, great. I'll get the paperwork done.
You know what? How about I give you the name to the agent? You just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, there are times, I will say, in this competitive market, there's a lot of first-time home buyers. We're getting in. I mean, I'm still seeing it today. We saw it last year. We're going to see it continue, I would probably say, for the next year or two. The market, the economy, It's great. I don't care what anyone says. The housing market is on fire. It's going to stay that way. I'll argue about that all day long.
I don't think it'll ever come down in Kansas City
I don't
within
see it,
5 to 10 years.
I don't either, because of all the new dude. I sold this house on Jarbo, 64108 zip code. The house is next to it. It's over there, right next to Union Station. You know that area, Union Hill. I listed at 249. It probably needs 30, 40 grand in work. Again, price for a DIY homeowner. I had a few showings in there. Everyone was telling me overpriced. No, it's really not. Look at the area. Look at the downtown Royal Stadium that's going downtown, the KC Current, the streetcar, literally right next to the streetcar that's being expanded. There is so much revitalization going on downtown. This is a very hot area where an owner occupant can move into, hold on to it for the next 7 to 10 years. And they're going to be well ahead for what they pay for it now. Again, prominent lawyer comes in. I'm not going to name her name, but prominent lawyer comes in, sees the value, full cash offer, close in 3 weeks. It just takes the right buyer. It takes the one buyer that knows what they're doing and sees the value. But unfortunately, a lot of these clients are being misled by agents that don't even know how to calculate value, let alone see it, don't even know how to calculate the value. So,
and it's also, I feel like it's hard in that you have a attorney come in that she's probably a pretty sharp person.
Yeah.
Educated, knows what she's looking at.
Right.
Can watch the economic upturn in Kansas City, knows the areas. Same thing, like it happens in commercial real estate all the time, that you just have higher level individuals that are in operation with doing it. And you look at, it's happening in North Kansas City right now.
Yep.
You have places that commercial real estate buildings are complete fucking dumps that are going for astronomical money.
Yeah.
But streetcar is going to be expanded here soon over to North Kansas City.
Yeah.
North Kansas City plans came out, which, I mean, high level.
Year?
Yeah, towards, I think,
End of last year.
About that.
and they come out with everything they're going to do over there to where, guess what? All this value just shot up. The actual property itself, though, the building structure, whatever, is not worth the dollars and cents that's on market, but the location of it has become the value. And that's the hard thing in real estate is you have agents that don't know what they're doing. They don't know the areas that have value. That is what I feel like really makes great agents, is knowing the areas of all over, like
knowing your market.
Exactly. And that's a market that your market up here and your market down in Overland Park are completely different. Somebody can show the same house in Overland Park in Johnson County, and they come up and show something in Clay County and be like, that's underpriced. Or somebody from Clay County goes and shows a house in Overland Park or Johnson County area. Right. They come in, they're like, that's way overpriced.
As a real estate agent in the Kansas City market, you need to know your market as a whole. Not even if you sell just up in the Northland, you need to know your whole market as a whole. Downtown, all the submarkets, Lee Summit, Belton, Raymore, Blue Springs, Tonganoxie, Lawrence. I mean, those are still our markets. Yeah, they're spread out all over the place, but you've got to have a general idea what the hell you're talking about with each market, because a client can come from anywhere. You could say, hey, I want to move to Olathe. Okay, great. I know that market.
Yeah.
Or, hey, if you say, hey, I want to move to Florida, obviously deal with the Florida agent. But each agent needs to know their market, and you just don't see enough of that. And to be honest, you don't see the real estate class, the qualifications to get in. I mean, the whole course itself, the exam, it's just to pass the test. It doesn't teach you shit about real estate. It doesn't teach you anything about markets. It doesn't teach you anything about finances. It doesn't teach you anything besides memorizing the questions and answers and applying it to the exam.
That was the same thing with the mortgage test. We literally finished that, and I was like, we both take it and we pass it, and I'm done. I'm like, I don't know how to do a home loan. I don't know the first thing about a home loan. I was like, you literally get done taking the test. I'm like, I know all the laws about it. I know that I can't pay agents for deals. I'm like, I know all these stupid.
I know redlining. I know all this, but we were very fortunate enough growing up that our dad did home loans for 17 years.
Yeah.
So like my 7th grade, like my presentation was like what you need to buy a house. And my teacher sitting there like, what?
She didn't even know it.
She didn't know.
Oh no.
But so like I do that and she's like, why you know that? I'm like, I don't know. Like I go to work with my dad. Like he literally showed us like how you treat an individual, how you sell an individual while also taking care of them. And then the steps to do it correctly without screwing someone over.
Right.
So we learned all that. So like we take tests. It's like, oh, this ain't bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, you just do this stuff. He's like, you take care of your clients. You make sure you get a good deal for your client. He's like, it's all that.
Yeah.
And he's like, the other stuff you'll learn along the way.
Yeah.
But he's like, you master those steps. He's like, no matter what you do, he's like, you'll be successful.
The transactional experience will come. And with that, you'll gain experience in the marketplace. But in the beginning, when you're just starting, it's the relationship. If you do that right the first time, that will be your client for life.
Mm-hmm.
And in return, I mean, that's just residual income down the road.
So is that the same in commercial real estate now?
Commercial, again, I do both commercial and single family investments. So just investments in general, it's an investor is no different than a typical homeowner seller.
Okay.
It's relationship. My investor just transacts 10 to 20 to 30 times in a year versus a typical home seller transacts once every 7 years. It's relationship. So if I go out and I find a good deal for an investor and they make money, whether it's a buy and hold and they hold it for 5 years and they exit and everything went as planned, or they fix and flip and they make money, the trust is where the relationship is built. Once somebody trusts you, that relationship is secured, as long as you keep that trust and you don't do anything to mess that up. But yes, 100%. Even in the investment side, it's all relationship based.
Okay.
It's just the number of times that client will transact with you.
So essentially, they're interacting with you more times than a single.
100%. Yeah. Yep. I've talked to, for example, I just sold a house down in the worst part of Hickman Mills. I mean, this was a firehouse that had a fire in one of the bedrooms.
Where's Hickman Mills?
South Kansas City.
South Casey. Okay.
So
Know your market.
I know the market. I'm just saying if someone's listening and they're like, where's that?
for sure. So
Allegedly.
anyway, so a fire in one of the bedrooms, been vacant for a few months now, not in a horrible area of town. And poor guy, he bought the property, I would probably say around 4 years ago, 4 years ago. He's an out-of-state investor. And this is where I see a lot of out-of-state investors get screwed. They're led into these areas because they don't know the market. They don't know Kansas City. I mean, the Kansas City is a great investing market because it's a low entry point with high rents.
Yeah.
If you're looking to buy and hold, it's a very affordable city. And truthfully, I feel like even with all the developments coming in downtown and everything, compared to other cities, other metropolitan areas, Kansas City is going to still be by far one of the most affordable cities. That's why
Cheapest cost of living in.
that's why everyone from the coast is coming in Kansas City. There's so many out of state money coming into the Midwest. It's unreal.
They just haven't experienced
You're
that
saying
December.
I get the penthouse for what I was paying for one bedroom?
Yeah.
So Madison had a client come in from California.
Mm-hmm.
When they came in, they were looking at new builds, and they walked into a $1.3 million house. Their budget was like up to $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
They walked in there mind blown that had crown molding. They're like, so like, do we have to at least clear the 1.3 to make sure we're getting crown molding? She's like, that starts like $400,000 here. They're like, what? And they're like, you're not touching crown molding in Cali for under like 2.5.
That's wild.
I'm just like, I'm sitting there like a fly on the wall. I'm like, the fuck?
Dude, you're learning a lot just sitting there listening.
I go all the time. I feel like I know a good amount about the real estate
I'm
market.
sure you do.
And I just sit there, I just listen to people. I'm like, whoa, like just like a sponge on the wall.
Yeah, for sure. You can absorb a lot of information just doing that.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy to see the values from one market to another. But Kansas City is by far one of the most affordable cities in the U.S. And it's going to continue getting that way. And with everything going on downtown, dude, it's an exciting time to be in Kansas City.
I think it's funny also when agents are like, the Kansas City market's just growing and it's just going to flatten out and we're going to see all this real estate come on market. I'm like, you're not.
Well, have you heard of a 3Light going in downtown?
Yeah.
They're building places in there that are $15,000 like for the month. And I was talking to someone, I'm like, we don't have anywhere like that yet.
For the
And
month
I'm
is also called monthly.
Depending.
He had to get you back.
Everything I pay for is just by the week. But they're putting that in. And I was talking to someone about it today. I'm like, yeah, we don't have anything like that here in Kansas City. I'm like, and you think about someone traveling in, a business is paying for them to be in that room.
Right.
And the thing is, they'll pay whatever. Like they're coming from California. They're used to those prices for a 2-bedroom.
Right.
Like sweet. So it's like, you do that here. I'm like, we don't have anywhere to do it. And there's a clientele for it.
There is, dude. You got multi-million-dollar businesses coming into Kansas City.
Look at
Business
Meta,
ventures.
Panasonic.
Right.
Like, I mean, Amazon just built their monster facility. They're trying to move more to this area right now.
Yeah.
Because it's so centrally located.
Yeah.
I can order shit on Amazon now and have it within like 4 hours.
Dude, I was noticing that last night. I was like, shit, it could be here by 4 a.m.
I was like, I don't know why I'd stop at the store on my way home. Why didn't they bring it?
You guys pay for Prime?
Yeah. But
I don't do those monthly subscription things.
it's yearly for Prime. But
Right. It's yearly now.
You want it in now.
By the month.
But it's like, you look at things like that on how much is coming this way.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we have plenty of land here to build the infrastructure. It's going to be on the outskirts, but I mean, there's so much going in that every business like model is booming around here.
It is for sure. And I'm not even going to say just like in the hub of the metro. You're seeing the tertiary markets. You're seeing Spring Hill's been exploding for the last couple of years. So that's nothing new. But you're seeing those outer markets. People are moving outward as well, not just inward.
I'd say you got about 45 minutes to an hour out. Everything right there is just growing.
It's growing exponentially. 100 versus 4 years ago, it wasn't like that. Somebody moved to Spring Hill. They're like, what the fuck is in Spring Hill? Now it's like, oh, Spring Hill, land in Johnson County. We just sold a house off 191st in Johnson County in Spring Hill for $42,000, $32,000 an acre. Where are you going to find land, 12 acres at $32,000 an acre with the house on it? The house needed work, but the value is there. The long play is there. And that's the thing. Most agents don't see the long play because they don't know their market.
And they don't know how to play chess.
And they don't know how to play chess.
Look at Kearney.
Yeah. Dude, Kearney was exploding when I was going to high school.
It doesn't look anything the same.
It doesn't. But it was exploding when we were there.
We used to have a single stoplight
It started.
when Cookies was there.
I remember Cookies.
Yeah.
That in Big
Cookies?
V. Remember Country Mart?
Yep. And then John Super.
John Super. Yeah.
That's where everyone bought their toilet paper.
So
TPing allegedly.
Kearney used to be pretty small. And like now everyone exits, they turn right. There's a Starbucks, there's a Quick Trip, there's all that, and a Price Chopper, this huge infrastructure on the right. When we were there, you turn right and there was a little bitty gravel lot there. Shanks had a little car lot with about 6 to 10 cars all the time. And the building was half the size of this garage.
Little did we know Shanks owned all of it.
But it was just like, it's crazy how many people have pushed to that area.
For sure.
And so many people look at Kearney like they don't think there's money there. And I'm like, there's so much money sitting in these outskirt areas.
There is 100%.
Well, everyone's
dude.
moving out there. I mean,
Dude, and that's
same
where the
thing Phillip
value
was
is.
saying. Like, everyone's moving outward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can buy cheap land, like you were saying. I mean, you can build a house out there. You're not that far. I mean, everything within Kansas City is generally about 30, 35 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure. I would
wherever
say
you're
comfortably.
at. Spring Hill. Well,
I mean, even from
there,
downtown, like from downtown, it's 30 minutes away. Like it's
Yeah.
really, I'm centrally located now, so really nothing is far. But when I lived up north, Spring Hill would have been like 45 minutes.
The beauty
to an
of Kansas City, man. It's so,
It is.
it's one of the most spread out cities, I think, in the
Mhm.
nation
hour. But like
by area.
for sure. But it also feels, again, nothing is too far unless you're going out way in the outskirts.
Unless who you ask. If you ask someone that's centrally located in the city, any of these outskirts, that's about 2 hours
I feel
away.
like people in the Northland don't have that mindset, but people out south do.
Yes.
People out south do.
They're like,
People- yeah.
across the north of the river.
They're like,
That's
Kearney, that's right by
That's
the Iowa border, isn't it?
I'll be talking to somebody from Olathe. I'll be like north of the river. They'll be like, "Where's that?" I'm like, "What the hell?"
like near the airport.
Yeah.
So us
near the airport,
us
across
being-
the river.
Us being north of the river, anytime we want like fancy food or anything, we've had to travel south of the river. People south of the river have never traveled north of the river
Nope.
for anything.
No,
They're like,
Yeah.
what do we have up here?
Other than to catch a flight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Besides that, like, what do we have up here that they would ever drive up here for?
They're like, great news. They put it in here before they put it over there. Okay.
yeah,
But it's like you go down there, they have gym meccas that are
Mhm.
10 times the size. They have restaurants that are way better than all of ours. They have
Yeah, shopping.
shopping. They have anything.
Crazy
Like,
down there.
I don't know why somebody would drive up here. I'm not going to say I like the people as much as I like the Northland people, but I think we're a little nicer north of the river. I'll hold to that.
Depends on how far south you go. They get nicer again.
Yeah, you got to drive all the way through it.
all the way through. Yeah,
Yeah.
But then by that point, what's there to do out there?
But it's a really long drive again.
I think people also discount how much money is really like south of the river.
Yeah, there's a lot
A lot.
of money, dude.
Like big money.
A lot. Like fuck you money. A lot of money.
And there's a lot of big CEOs and things for monster companies in the United States that live in Johnson County.
Oh yeah,
Like
for sure.
It's pretty crazy.
Johnson County is one of the
I think
prominent counties in the Midwest. Like,
it is like, it was something like, it was like a top 5 county of the whole Midwest of the United
I
States.
saw what
It
their
is.
taxes is. It's prominent.
it's probably yeah, that's the truth for sure. Well, Jackson County just got hit with that tax increase.
I heard.
Man, I'm sure you guys have heard that on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
All my friends that live in
It
Jackson
came in as
have
like
rentals.
a surprise.
Oh, dude, everyone's in an uproar about it.
I didn't even see it.
We were talking.
I've been
to,
watching the guy in the subs that are lost. So
We talked to our CPA. He's like, "Yeah, this like coming," and then just like they just passed it, and then he's like, "It's hitting like getting a summer," and he's like, "I think a lot of people aren't expecting it."
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of appeals for that for sure.
Yeah,
A lot.
and they're just going to look at it and they're going to piss on it and then go on with
you're
junk.
gonna get really mad for like 2 months and then just start paying.
That's how taxes work. Just keep upping them. You get mad. You can't do anything about it, and you just keep rolling.
I just need to make more money now.
Right, exactly.
And they're just going to keep taking more of that. That's why they do it on a percent base.
So I know before you and I were talking about kind of how that entire interaction works.
Yeah.
So like, what do you look for when you're going to capture a property to potentially invest in it and then essentially turn it? How's that look?
No matter what property I'm looking at, I'm always looking at the same baseline. So if it's a fix and flip, a buy and hold, wholesale, assignment, whatever you want to call it.
So you're throwing a lot of things out. I feel like I don't even understand.
So fix and flip. You buy the property,
And then you flip it.
you put a little bit of money into it, and then you turn around and resell it on the market.
Okay.
Wholesale, aka assignment, that's when you're direct to seller, whatever the situation that they're facing, foreclosure, divorce. There's a million different scenarios that sellers face every day on why they need to sell their home quickly or for cash. No matter what property we're looking at, our number baseline is the same. So our exit, we're not basing our offer or our dollar amount that we're going to pay for the property based on our exit. So if anything is over $250,000 after repair value, we're buying at 75% minus repairs, which is what a normal investor buys at anyway. That's what most investors try to calculate: 75% of ARV minus repairs.
And that's just on market value.
That's just on what it could sell, like after repair value. So when I'm looking at comps, so if I have a subject property that's clearly distressed, I'm going to go look at, I'm going to pull comps and I'm going to see what it would sell for fixed up. I'm going to take that number, take that times 75%, and then calculate how many repairs that subject property needs. So if it only needs 30, 40K, I'm going to take 75% minus 30 or 40K. And then that's my offer price. So that's what you're going to enter the deal in. That way, no matter what your exit strategy is, if you decide to buy and hold, okay, cool. You have your rehab. You have the amount that the rehab's going to cost you. You have your all-in amount because you're going to be all in at 75% of that ARV. Well, guess what? You can burr out of that property. You can go and refinance that property, take all your money out that you put into it, and basically have no money in the deal and have a cash flowing rental. If you bought it right. Most people now I see in this market are buying at 80% of ARV, 85% of ARV. To me, that's too risky.
Dude.
If one thing goes wrong, let's say the sewer just freaking explodes, or you've got a major break in the city where you have to pay for that. The city doesn't pay for it. So now you're breaking up concrete. It's a big expense. So the point is, the tighter margin that you buy on, the less room you have for big expenses that come up when you go and rehab properties, whether it's a rental or a flip. So when you consistently buy them at the same baseline, no matter what your exit is, I'm not going to say you're safe, but you're safe. That's the wrong word. I don't want to.
Not safe.
You're comfortable.
You're
comfortable.
You're comfortable. You can take the risk at a comfortable level. Now, depending, I'm not going to say that's 100% of the time. I mean, if it's a property in Johnson County where I know it's going to sell within hours and it needs 10 grand of work and I'm buying it at 80%, in this market right now, I would totally feel comfortable doing that because I know I'm going to sell it in 24 hours. Easy. There's no inventory. So again, coming down to the agent or investor, know your market. But the baseline for us always has to be the same. It's 75% minus repairs. If it's over 250, if it's under 250, it's 70% minus repairs.
So in that instance, are you typically selling to individuals, or are you more selling to people? Yeah, investors, turning those into short-term rentals or long-term rentals.
It depends. We're always buying it deep enough to where we can sell to both. So if, again, I was talking earlier about cash conversion cycle. If I can make a quick 20,000 just assigning it over to another investor or closing on it and then selling it to another investor, and I can make a quick 20 versus if I were to put 30 into it and I would make 30, what makes more sense? Am I going to put 30 into it of my own capital, whether it's my own capital or private capital or hard money, and then take a month or 2 months and then have to resell it and make 30? Or can I just get rid of it quick and make 20? I would take the 20 because the cash conversion cycle is short. Then I can go do it again.
He learned this in the car business.
I know that's where people not being greedy.
2 more times in the same amount of time that it would have taken me to complete the flip, put it on the market, wait for the 30-day financing that the retail buyer is going to have, etc. So
if anybody's listening to this that's in the car business, listen to the last 4 minutes again and just duplicate that in the car business and you'll be 10 times more successful, just so you know.
Yeah, I think it comes down to that. Like the shorter amount of time you create when your cash is out, the shorter amount of time that is, even if it's 5, 10, sometimes 15,000 less of what you would make holding it another 3 months, you have risk, you have holding costs, you have insurance, you've got capital going out to rehab the property. You got a lot of things going out. So I'm more than happy to take 10 to 15K less and be out of the deal 2 months earlier, a month earlier, and be in 2, 3, 4 more deals by the time you sell that one deal.
How long did it take you to figure that out? Or how many deals did you try to hold before you figured that out?
Working with investors has really, transacting with investors that know what they're doing has really taught me a lot. Being on the transaction side of things and just watching the numbers roll and see how they operate, see how they're buying the properties, just the process itself, I would probably say I got into the investment side 3 years in. So 4 years ago? Once I got into the investment side, that's when it really started to click. But it's hard though, because there are a lot of investors in this market that do overpay because there's not the demand is short, the inventory is short. So they're fighting over these deals. It's cool to own real estate. It's cool to flip a house. People just buy real estate because it's cool.
That's the new money maker.
It's the new thing. So
yeah.
people will overpay to say they bought a property, like legit.
We need more people buying into companies because it's also.
Don't even get me to start. I want to get into business acquisitions. Business acquisitions is going to be the next thing. It's already becoming a thing, and I'm excited to dive into. That's a whole different podcast. But
Hermosi, acquisitions.com. That's what it was.
Yeah. So
I know I was thinking about that for an hour, but
yeah, that is a totally different rabbit hole we can go down. But as far as the investment side goes,
investors can make monster paydays. Like Ricky and I have been out to some really, really, really big business networking events down like in Salt Lake, and you meet the biggest players of the country there, and they win by business acquisition. Like real estate's the thing that everyone's talking about.
Yep.
He goes, the ballers in the room. He goes, are the guys that are investing in companies.
Well, Coca-Cola is the big one where it's the CEO makes 30 to 50 million a year. Warren Buffett invested. He makes 550 million a year, more than the CEO because he invested.
No, but it's buying parts of companies. People do the same thing with buying stocks. Mm-hmm. So people play the stock market. All you're doing is buying percents of companies. Now these big players with money have started figuring out the return on smaller startups, things like that, when they get in early, and you can capture 10%, 20% of a company that blows up, that those dollars and cents multiply way more than real estate.
Or you can go buy a business that's generating between $1 million and $5 million a year. A lot of those businesses already have operations in place. The owner is I'm not going to say absentee. They're more of the manager role. They may work 5, 10, 15 hours a week, but their net is $400, $500, $1 million a year for working 10 to 15 hours a week and managing everything. So when you can, and there's a lot of seller finance opportunity in business acquisitions. 60% of business acquisitions, there is seller finance opportunity. You're not going to find that in real estate.
Oh yeah. You go to a business owner and you make a deal and you want to seller finance it. They say, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars a month for the next 15 years of your life, 10 years of your life. You take a long deal on it. That business owner is now sitting at home making more than they were.
Yeah.
And doing nothing. Getting to start something else, do whatever.
Right. But
it's very much a thing that the percent return, because what real estate's what, like 9%, 10?
9, 10, 8, again, depending on where you buy the deal.
Depending on the deal. So most of the time people buying real estate, they're looking for that 8 to 11%, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And business, if you're on the business acquisition side, I've talked to guys that are very easily at the 16 to 22, 24% on average.
On average, bro. I've seen it up to 30%, 35%.
But they will say that the risk level gets a lot higher.
Yeah.
The risk level
crypto.
is not even
high
close.
risk, high reward.
I would not. It's not even remotely close to the same thing.
And that's why you target the businesses that are already generating between $1 million and $5 million.
Yep.
They already have the operations in place. They've already been around 10, 15, 20 years. These are mom and pop owners, just like the small real estate deals. These are mom and pop owners, baby boomers. They're looking to get out of business. They don't know what their business is worth. They don't even know they can sell their business half the time, believe it or not. So you're capturing and most of the time, again, they'll owner finance part of it or all of it or most of it to where all you have to bring is the down payment.
Well, there's a company in Kansas City that just got bought out 2 months ago by a corporation, and they're a very well-known company. And they're just fine with where they're at, but they're like, this is a brand. And the people that bought them, they're like, we're taking this to the next level. Like, this will be multi-state.
Yeah.
Like a company or like a brand, like going nationwide. And it's like, they're like, we want to hit the ground running. We want to hit it running hard.
And that's the exit.
Yeah.
You multiply it and then you sell it for 3 to 5x.
And a lot of these smaller business owners don't see what scale looks like.
No, they don't even know what scale looks like.
Well, so they scale until they're comfortable.
Right.
So you have some of these small business owners that they get to $400,000 a year and they've lived better than anyone in their family ever has. They don't see what true scale looks like, where you get some of these investors that come in, you get some of these people that really know what multiplication looks like and how fast something scales. Like, I didn't really understand it when I opened Moss Marketing Group. And I figured out so quickly that when there was myself, all of my goals were based on what I could do in a month.
Yep.
So I had a 5-year goal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden when I brought Dre on, I was like, oh my God, we get things done twice as fast. Then all of a sudden Dalton was here. I'm like, we get things done 3 times as fast. I was like, and that multiplier, it stacks up so much quicker.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there's like 14 of us. I'm like, what used to take me a half a month gets done in a day now.
You built the infrastructure.
So then it's like that continues to scale. And I tell them my goal is to have 300, like I can't wait till the day I have 365 people. And every 10 days I'm getting 10 years of work done.
But I think a lot of people put themselves in a position where they're a manager, not an owner. So they manage all those people, let alone putting people in place to manage the people under them. So I think that's where going into scale, a lot of people misconstrue the fact of, instead of you managing 300 people yourself, have different sectors that are managed by different individuals.
Different operators.
Well, there's no one person is going to manage 300 people. But what I'm saying is pulling yourself out of the equation.
Right.
That too many business owners have themselves as a main factor in their equation. That the equation of your business should not have you in it.
And that's where anyone generating under $1 million in revenue, that's where you're going to typically see that. The owner is fully submersed in the business. That's not a business you technically want to buy, because that means you're going to be fully submersed in it. And you want to buy a business to scale it. You can't scale it if you're still in the daily operations. The ones that are generating the 1 to 5, they have the infrastructure in place. They have the operators in place. They're just sitting back, managing everything from a high level. But that's where the opportunity comes in for somebody where you can take that company and scale it even more. And
because you have the cash flow behind it.
You have the cash flow behind it. You're already grossing, you're already netting 30, 50, 60K a month. You've got the cash flow behind it. You can reinvest that in your business, scale it, and then sell it to private equity later. And that's where the real wealth is built. You're making 30 to 35% return. You take that cash and then you go invest in real estate.
Yeah.
When do you think someone should do that? So say I'm making $2 million a year, but I'm still invested in my company. I'm working within the company.
You are not making $2 million a year invested inside your company.
No, like me as an individual, not companies grossing $2 million a year.
At $2 million a year, if you're running $2 million a year, that business owner is backed out of their seat.
Yeah, exactly.
That 1 to 5 million, it's also the growth paradox of business. Growth paradox of business. There's a lot of business entrepreneurs that will clear $1 million, but will never clear 10. That's the growth paradox of business. And that is the hardest thing, that there is the elite number that ever passed the 10 million mark is very, very, very small, because they never figure out how to get out of that. And it's because at some point in there, they have still had themselves as a piece of that equation. They're still a piece of the puzzle. The only way to get through the growth paradox is fully removing yourself from this scenario. So that game of chess that we talk about being played, that owner shouldn't be even a piece on the board.
So you just take the king off the board so he can't be attacked.
But there still has to be somebody playing in the king's position. If you have it to where it's a full board of players, you're not a player on the board. So it's when that person will fully pull themselves out and truly figure out how to run and operate a company, that is how you pull through the growth paradox. If you do not do that, you will never surpass through it. So it's like, that is a hard thing. So that 1 to 10 is that person figuring out how that works, where the problems are, because that person is also the biggest problem solver. They have figured out what their product is that's coming to market. They're the one that figured out the void in market. They're the one that figured out how they're fixing the void in market. They're figuring out what the problem is that's being solved for client XYZ. And it can be in any business. So you see it with plumbers. You see somebody that I may know how to do plumbing and you may know how to do plumbing. You might actually be better at plumbing than me. But if I know how to scale a business differently and how to get people to follow me and how to get people hired, I figure out processes I can put in place. I can figure out software I can put into place to make sure that my guys aren't driving too much between appointment and appointment. And certain people have different districts. And I take over Kansas City, then I take over St. Louis, then I take over Springfield, and I take over Omaha, and I take over Des Moines. All of a sudden, I have a $15 million plumbing business when all along you were 10 times better than me at actual plumbing.
Right.
So does that go into sales on that aspect of selling yourself to those markets?
I wouldn't even say it's selling yourself. I say it's building the infrastructure to remove yourself.
That's all you're doing.
You're putting operators in place to where you can step back and manage everything from a high level. You're as a business owner, no matter if it's 10 million or 5 million, you're always going to have to do some sort of management to an extent.
Correct.
But you have the daily, monthly, weekly operators in place where the business will run and sustain itself without you even present. Now you just go out and you focus on the growth. You focus on expanding into the other markets and taking that process that you built in this market and applying it to other markets. So if you can master that market that you're in and you can master the infrastructure, you can do it anywhere in the country.
If you are a business owner and you call yourself an entrepreneur and you pack a suitcase today and you leave for a month, if your business is not open in a month because you are gone, you are not an entrepreneur. That's where I believe there are small business owners, there's entrepreneurs. Those are two different people. There is people that will work inside their business till the day they die. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer.
Right, for sure. It's all what you want.
It's all whatever someone deems as success and happiness in their vision.
Right.
Everyone's writing their own story. I'm not telling anyone how to write their story.
For sure.
But what I am saying is an entrepreneur is someone that ends up working themselves out of that cycle, that has figured out the correct people in place to be able to run full scale and drive something forward with the correct staffing to do so. That they're not, once again, I am guilty of Moss Marketing Group, the growth till today pretty much. I was the driver of all sales. I'm still stuck in that circle right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am working on fixing that, but it is something that if I stop, Moss Marketing Group levels. I have to figure out how Moss Marketing Group continues to grow without me in that cycle. Because if I am gone, it should keep elevating. So once again, I'm in the growth paradox. That is what I am figuring out at the level that I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But also that's where a lot of investors jump in and they're like, these people are starting to figure it out. They're like, I throw a little gas on the fire. I give them a little bit of oomph.
This is a great time for me to 10x my money
But
immediately.
They have also made it through that point that those are people that I'll tell a real estate agent, like, I think if you're new into the real estate market, find a really good agent that you think is great, offer them 10 grand to go hang out with them for a couple of days and learn some actual decent knowledge from someone that's done it.
Yeah.
Quit watching
done it and currently doing it.
In your market that understands what's going on, figuring out how to do deals, whatever. And I do the same thing in business. I've paid a lot of money to be around some of the right guys
For sure.
to learn the correct things that I need to be doing.
Yeah.
That is invaluable.
People want something for free. And that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't willing to pay for that advice versus people like you and I. We're willing to pay somebody 10, 20 grand to go learn something from because they've already done it.
Well, it saves you how much money in the long run of you making that mistake yourself?
Right.
And how long is it going to take for you to make that mistake before you realize you shouldn't have done it that way?
Right. It's an investment. It's not a cost. It's an investment.
Is that 10, 20, 30 grand worth that to you? Or do you think you're going to do it cheaper, figure out the mistake in 15 grand?
People want to try and reinvent the wheel, and that's the problem. You just model what other successful people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still in the process of doing that. I haven't made it yet. I'm not claiming to have made it yet. But the most successful people on the entrepreneurial path, they model what has already been done. They don't try and recreate the wheel like everybody thinks they need to do, which again, I feel like almost it's human instinct to do that. Like, we want to get to a certain level. We think we got to recreate everything. We think we got to go out and do this and do that and just show out all the time. That's not true. Just get in the room with the people already doing it, and you're going to learn far more in 30 minutes than you will in your 4-year fucking college degree.
Oh, 100%.
Don't get Dane on the tangent of college degrees.
But the funny thing is, you look at some people get into whatever industry that they want, and they're like, I went and talked to this guy and had coffee with him. You talk to great agents in the real estate space, and you hit them up, and they're like, oh, I just want to grab coffee and pick your brain. You're never going to get your fucking coffee with them. And then they're like, so-and-so said I could grab coffee with him. That's because he's not very good.
Yeah.
Or she. They're not going to give you the great advice that you're looking for. The people I want to sit in a room with, I know I'm going to have to pay to get their advice.
Get their attention.
Yeah. Even talk to them.
Right.
But it's when you get in front of those people, then you start getting the relationship with them. Then in the future, they may help you out without a price tag involved.
Right.
But it's also they know that you want it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to pay to play for someone to know that you want it as bad as you do.
It's an investment.
It is.
And most people look at that kind of stuff as a cost. They look at that as an expense, which honestly can be detrimental to your growth. You have to look at those expenses as an investment. If you look at it that way, your whole perspective changes.
Oh yeah.
Then everything that you take in is going to become more valuable. You're going to be able to apply that to whatever you're doing, whatever industry you're doing or in. It's an investment, but most people don't look at it that way. That's why most people don't even get to that level.
And most people don't look at like growth all the time.
Right.
That a lot of people get comfortable in a spot. And once again, like I live in the uncomfortable spot. I thrive in it. That's where I want to be. But it's look at what you can do to progress yourself every single day. And wherever you get, how do you take the next step? How do you write the next chapter of your book better than this one?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking at that, that comes with self-growth. That comes with reading. That there's so much that can come from reading books that people discount. Start listening to Audible, start reading books, start listening to podcasts, and you're going to find a lot of information out there that can move you forward a lot.
That's free too.
That is free.
That is free. With
books
YouTube,
cost like $7 or whatever.
Right. I mean, unless you have Audible credits, then you can just
which I think I still pay for those.
I just saved your Audible credits.
Right. I have a lot of Audible credits. I just don't know what I pay a month for.
I think I pay like $15 a month, but I got like 30 credits. That's $30.
That means you've been saving $3 a month and you haven't been reading it.
Bro, I don't.
That is true.
Here's the deal. Audible books, I can't. I have to sit down and read something. Truthfully, I have to sit down and read something and have something to take notes, or else I don't retain it. Listening to something by itself, I just don't retain it. It's just not a good way.
So I like to read my books now, and then I also have them on Audible. And when I go on my walks, I listen back to the same thing I read. So
you read first
twice.
Yes.
and then listen next.
Yeah, because
not at the same time.
no, because I can't. It'll put me to sleep like that fast.
That's a lot of
I've been noticing that since I've been reading this book. I'm like, it was like 7 p.m. yesterday. I'm like falling asleep on the couch reading. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, it definitely, like, when you read, you can go to sleep a lot quicker. Like, your brain will keep you up watching TV at night. And people are like, how do you go to bed so early? I was like, I get my book and I sit down and I read. And then when I go on my walk, I just listen to the same book on Audible when I'm walking. And it's crazy how much, like, I can sit there and damn near read back, like, page by page that book. Just
I'm gonna try that.
If I just try to read a book, I'll read like 2 chapters. I'm like, the fuck did I just read? I'm like, I was thinking about like everything I need to do tomorrow. And it's like, and then I'll go like start listening to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've already read this, and like it's like kickstart back in, and it's like then I'm thinking about what it's talking about because I read it, I've listened to it, and Alex Hormozy talks about on his $100 million offer book. There's some stat or something of retention rate, but he talks about listening to it while you read it. Mm-hmm. I tried it on that book and it helped, but my problem was I'd fall asleep and then my Audible would be way off track of where I actually was. So I was like,
I think talking about it though, after you read a chapter or a couple of chapters, going back and having a conversation about it actually helps.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
I found that because I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about it and I was like, I didn't remember shit until we had a conversation about it. And then I'm like picking up these things. I'm like, that before I didn't even realize that I actually retained, but
yeah,
I don't read that much. So it's like,
so I've
new to me. So it's like getting back to that.
At least you know how to read, bro.
So I've made it.
I don't.
At least
I don't.
I've made it a requirement now at Moss Marketing Group that we read a book every month.
Every month?
Yep. So it's
I buy the
Any
book.
any book or personal development?
So I supply the book. I'll buy the book for everyone. So I came in with a whole stack of hard copy books.
All right. What book is this month?
Right now we're doing Atomic Habits.
Ooh,
Atomic
shit.
Habits.
Where's my copy? I want to read
It's
that.
5 hours, 30 minutes. You can buy the audiobook for $7.
So
You know what? I got credits.
all the credits. But it's like
I could probably buy it 17 times.
it was one of those things that I was like, you know what? That's just going to be something that I want everyone to grow around
Yeah.
myself, and how much that does for them really outside of work and just everything. And I want people's lives to be better.
For sure, bro.
And it makes their careers better. It makes their home life better. It makes their friendships better. It makes everything better. So I had thought about it, and I've seen some really big successful people that have that as like a requirement in their companies. And he's like, if I sit down to hire someone and that's not something they're willing to do, it's not somebody I want to work for me.
Could you imagine, like, and this is getting way off topic, but going back to, well, not going back to, but the way that we're taught growing up through our school system, public education system, could you imagine if we took some of these same strategies like this? You have your company or you have your team members read a book, personal development, mainly focused, every single month. Could you imagine if the school system did that and how much advanced these kids coming out of high school, going into high school, going into college, coming out of college, how much advanced shit, they may not even need college at that point. You don't even need college, period, in my opinion. But that's a whole different.
Think about just senior year, the whole year was over finance books.
Could you imagine how well off our society would be?
We
aren't
aren't
taught more of that.
we aren't taught to learn finance.
I think
We
that's
don't
that's
need
a
to know
huge
finance.
disservice
We're
to-
not taught anything.
to
We're
kids
taught
in
to
the US.
conform.
Yeah.
Truthfully, we're taught to conform.
Oh,
I think
We're taught to follow
from when
the
we all
rules.
went to school to now, though, it's even getting worse.
It's 100%.
It's getting way worse.
100%
like-
worse. I see it for my girls, and to be completely honest, I have 100% thought about homeschooling.
100%. I would do homeschooling for a kid 10 out of 10
Yeah,
times
you
just because
you just lose that social aspect, which that kind of sucks.
I mean,
but, like,
yes.
I mean, you have to make sure they're in activities
Well,
too.
For sure, to keep that social atmosphere,
'cause
because that
that's
is an
a
important
huge
part of their development. But I don't believe that the public education system provides anything valuable for the kids coming out of high school and coming out of college. Most of them go into dead-end jobs making 30, 35 grand a year starting out.
well, you go in debt right into college.
Dude,
You get
yes.
what, $100,000? And it's like,
You're already in the hole.
good luck.
And then society pressure. I know we're getting off on a total different topic, but society pressures. All of a sudden, you're coming out of college. You've got a house to pay for now. You've got, oh, you got to get married by the time you're 25. Oh, you got to have kids before you're 30. God forbid if you have kids after 30. You know what I mean? I mean, God, I had my first one at 22. So I
big numbers guy, it doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't add up at all. So it's just like everything is flawed in our system versus if we were to take these same principles that we're learning and have learned throughout the last 7 years of being in business for ourselves, our society would be in a much better place, in my opinion.
Our society doesn't want people to think for themselves.
No, not at all.
Our society doesn't want people to go out and try to really unlock what their full potential
But that's what we've been conditioned to, though. Imagine if society in general wasn't conditioned to that by the higher level. That's just what we're conditioned to from the moment we start fucking preschool or kindergarten all the way to 12th grade.
But I also think what we're conditioned to do is like they put us through this schooling, and we see it with people all the time. Majority of people get out of school, and the day they leave high school, they never learn another thing in their life.
No, they stop learning.
And that's where like I look as how much can I learn every week to become, if I look at myself now, I look at myself 3 years ago, I'm a different human being.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere close to the leader, the manager, the business person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I could scale what Moss Marketing Group is now, what it's taken me 3 years to do. I could do it again in less than 12 months.
Right.
Like fast. Like, but it's just because I have the knowledge base now.
You've been a student of the game. You remain a student. That's the
always
thing.
remain.
You always remain a student. The second you stop being a student, the second you die.
I look at my dad. My dad's 58, and I mean, he used to tell me like I grew up. My dad just read all the time. He's always been successful in what he does, and I've just always seen him read and be like active in doing that and like growing what he does. And I was like, I hate reading. I hated reading more than probably anyone, even in college and like out of college. I was like, I started the dealership. I was like, this is my job. I don't read. And I was like, I remember they did like coaches at the dealership. I'm like, this is the dumbest shit. I was like, I'm not listening to this dude. He gives me all these books. He's like, you need to read these. I'm like, I'm not reading these. I'm like, and now I sit here and look at it. I'm like, why was I so hard headed on actually growing myself to be a better version? And I regret like not being more disciplined on all those things when I got out of college to actually be the best version of myself that I should have been. Mm-hmm. And now, and I'm not saying that's just in business either. Like I do it on friendship stuff. I do it on relationships with Madison.
Yeah.
It's on everything.
Every aspect.
It's just awareness, dude.
Finances, relationships, business, really everything.
Yeah.
But truthfully, you go back and you say, I regret doing this or that. But at the same time, we were conditioned to do that at the same time. Like, you know what I mean? Like people go through that system where once they graduate, they get this job. They don't think they have to continue learning. They don't think they have to continue improving themselves. I truly feel like it's the way we're conditioned by the time we're 2-3 years old, all the way till we're 18 to 21 graduating college. And by that time, a lot of times it's too late for a lot of people because they're stuck in their ways. They've been conditioned a certain way. But when you have the entrepreneur mind, you think differently. And I've always thought differently. And most of my family thought I was crazy for dropping out of college. Dude, I went to Mizzou for 3 years. I don't have a college degree. And I'll say that on camera. You don't need a college degree to be successful. You just have to put yourself in the room with the right people, remain a student of the game, learn and apply, and you'll be successful.
Yeah. It was pretty funny when I talked about, we'll tidy up with this. Then we'll hit your final thought. But when Ricky and I were in Utah, you know Bradley. Mm-hmm. So Bradley was there. He owns Lightspeed, done all this different stuff. The dude's a complete animal when it comes to sales. He talks about dropping out of high school. He goes, everyone thought I wouldn't amount to anything. And he goes, and now he goes, I have, 28 MBAs,
like 8 masters.
8 masters, goes through all these, like just this whole line of this list of all these numbers of the education level. And I was like, this dude's been getting after it in the school space.
Dude's an
animal.
I'm like putting these numbers in my head. I'm like looking at Ricky. I'm like, it doesn't add up, bro. And he goes, and guess what? They all work for me. And I was like, it just kind of like, it took me back a second just to kind of like this dude's a high school dropout, and these people that have masters that have went to college for this huge amount of time that spent all this money are working for a guy that's a high school dropout.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter who you are, what your upbringing was, what the deck of cards is that you were dealt, whatever it is in life, like you're capable of doing whatever you want to do.
As long as you remain consistent.
100%.
You have to remain persistent and consistent, because a lot of people will stop what they're doing the first time they fail. You have to get accustomed to failing over and over and over and over for that one win every 10th time you fail. It's the people that fail over and over are the ones that are successful.
100%. You're not going to meet a successful person. You get in these rooms with these, highest level individuals. It's not like they're going to tell you that this whole path was just sunshine and rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the
it's
first
like, I know
one.
you see what you see now. You don't see the 15 years and the mistakes I made to build this empire.
Right.
Andy
that's what-
Frisella stood on stage and talked about the first 10 years of Supplement Superstore.
Mm-hmm.
These things are all over the Midwest. First Form's a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yep.
He talked about the first 10 years of that, how his family, how every single person he knew told him to stop because he was living in the back of one.
Yeah.
And he made $52,000 in 10 years.
That's wild, dude. You couldn't even, like, how do you live on that today?
He was living in the place.
But even living in the place, like how do you even survive?
That's what he's like going over this stuff.
He
and I'm
was
like,
taking the supplements out of the store.
but it's
That's
like
a debit.
you look at that and you're like, it's crazy to think someone that was that far down the line, that didn't give up for that long, that was that persistent, that took that many failures, that did all that, comes around and builds $1 billion empire of the Midwest.
Yeah.
That the dude now is known by everyone nationwide.
Everybody, dude.
So it's like you watch these guys have done it. And most people think that they can never be on a stage like that.
Dude, Andy was a regular guy from the Midwest.
100%.
Grant Cardone, regular dude. Didn't even get started in real estate investing until he was 31.
Dude was on drugs in the car business at 29, couldn't make ends meet, was buried in debt. And you look at, and you can ask Ricky, when we were sitting in Utah, we're sitting there, we're talking about the Grant Cardones, the Andy Frisellas, we're talking about all these guys. And I was like, chapters to chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I live by, is like, these guys didn't get started till they were 31, 35.
I know, bro. And I'm not gonna lie. You get on social media, I feel behind sometimes. And I feel like every entrepreneur feels like that to some extent, if you allow it to be, just by what's being posted and all the fake shit that's going around. It's easy to get caught up in all that, but it's easy to feel like you're behind in your journey. But going back to your point, you have to remain on your journey, and it's your journey, not anyone else's. So you may be getting started at 31, and somebody else doing the same thing may have started at 25, and they're way more successful than you. And you're thinking over here, well, I'm 31, I'm never going to be that successful. No, it's not about them. It's about you.
Yeah.
It's your journey. So,
and that's 100% on your journey, things like that. The only thing I don't like is when you see these guys that are getting on stage like 55 years old. Like, I'm the hardest worker in the room. I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, chapters to chapters, motherfucker. I'm coming. Like, that's the way I look at it. And it's like, not in a cocky way or anything like that, but I'm putting in the work. I'm putting in day over day what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not going to stop.
mm-hmm.
And when you find, like, when people are like that, that's what Andy had going for him.
Yeah.
Nobody believed in him, but he got up every single day and he said, I'm putting in the work that needs to be there. And he was the one that knew the vision was there. He was the one that knew what that was supposed to be. Grant Cardone, when he pushed and what he did, I guarantee you that when you start and you're pushing, that line of haters and the people saying it doesn't work is a hell of a lot fucking longer than the group that's sitting there saying like, hey, you got this. Like, I will say,
You're doing great, friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I started marketing, the line of people that said it wasn't going to work was really fucking long.
Yeah.
Everyone thought I was stupid. They thought I was crazy. They thought my idea of what I was doing wasn't right. And the group of people that said it was going to work was very, very small.
Hey, I jumped on the train. I said, choo choo. We go on the top or we go to the bottom? I'm like, which way are we going?
But I don't know. I think it's one of those things that we all write our own. Once again, we write our own books, and you get to write it how you want it.
For sure.
And wherever that's supposed to be is where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
So I look at everything happens for a reason. We all end up exactly where we're supposed to. and there's a grander plan for every single one of us, but you have to actively go get it.
You do, and you have to push through the hard times.
Yep.
You have to push through those difficulties. And I feel like most people that don't have that entrepreneur mind don't do that.
Yeah. So I'm going to say finishing up the podcast, because I think we could probably sit here and talk for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, we probably could. We didn't talk about anything.
I might need more beer.
We didn't really hit on real estate, which I
did.
really like when we just end up in like the conversations that we're having.
Yeah.
Because I think it is really insightful for a lot of people. What would you give one word of advice if you could go back to your 21-year-old self?
Follow your passion. Go all in. If I could go back and do it again, I would have started this journey at 18. I'd be far more ahead where I'm at now. But if I could go back and tell my younger self, go all in on what you want to do and don't give a fuck about what everyone else thinks.
You at 18, would you tell yourself you're crazy?
Like crazy now?
No, like you at 18 telling your younger self, like you come back, you're telling them, it's like, hey, jump all in. You'd be like, you're crazy. You'd be like, all right, let's go.
No, I'd be like, all right, let's go. Because of the shit I've learned along the way already. Let's go.
I like that. I like the not giving a shit with what other people think.
That's what holds people back. And I'm guilty of that too, early on in my journey. People in general, we care about what other people think of us. And that oftentimes gets in the way of everything that we do at our full potential, our full capability, living life to the fullest. We are afraid of what people will think of us. You just have to simply not give a shit. And if I were to go back, it would be jump on this train earlier, get started. Let's fucking ride.
I like it.
Then we'd be at your fucking penthouse right now.
Dude.
Let's fucking ride.
Be at his mansion.
So, Dre, Dalt, any final thoughts?
Thanks for the knowledge. Great mindset. Yeah,
For sure, man.
Enjoyed having you on.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite.
Thank you for being on. We will plug all of your links below. I normally forget that, so Ricky's probably clapping for me over there. All your links will be plugged below. And once again, thank you very much for coming on. Like I said, we could talk for hours.
Yeah, for sure, guys.
Very much enjoyed it. Over a nice glass of whiskey. And I'm going to say, let's fucking ride. And that is the M3 podcast.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.